Welcome to the live checkup. This is where we sit down with Dr. Asante LeBlanc and ask all the possible questions we can when it comes to our health and care. Let me just tell you this first off. Dr. Asante LeBlanc is the medical director and owner of Victoria Clinic, your home for holistic health care in Trinidad and Tobago. Victoria Clinic is located at 54 Galley Street in Woodbrook. Dr. LeBlanc is a medical doctor and certified medical herbalist. She is an integrative health care practitioner, bringing together the eastern and western branches of medicine so as to better guide patients on their path to optimum health. She's also a certified clinical densitometrist, specialist in diagnosis and treatment of osteoporosis. At Victoria Clinic, services offered include medical consultations, traditional Chinese medicine consultations, acupuncture, medical herbalism, blood tests, electrocardiograms, lung function testing, and Dexter bone density testing. You can contact Victoria Clinic at 622-2221 or 622-0683. Follow them on Facebook, Victoria Clinic, or Instagram, Victoria Clinic _Trinidad. Website www.victoria-clinic.net. This is the live checkup. I'm JD. Now, let's jump into today's conversation. I should keep all these bloopers. Good evening, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the live checkup. I'm JD, and this young lady right here is Dr. Asante LeBlanc. We are inside of another very important conversation with the doctor in the house. Yeah, and the thing is, she's literally in your house, in your space, wherever you are, thanks to this virtual method that we are using here right now. We've been doing this for the past year and a half, sitting down with Dr. Asante LeBlanc, asking the questions. And I say we because I'm not doing this alone. You've got some questions too, and we always invite you to put those questions right there for Dr. Asante LeBlanc to answer for you. Right now, we're sitting on the YouTube platform, my YouTube channel, but of course, you can find this on any one of our websites, as well as you can check out our Facebook pages as well. So you've got no reason for missing a beat as we jump into today's topic. Earlier on, you heard all about Dr. Asante LeBlanc, of course, Victoria Clinic, where it's located, and we will repeat some of that information later on at the end of it. But first off, I've got to say good evening to you, Dr. Asante LeBlanc. How are you doing?
Good evening. Good evening, JD. Good evening, everybody. I am fine, JD. I am good.
What I love about Dr. Asante LeBlanc, she's got so many choices of locations, all right? She's got the backgrounds to kill. That's what I like. But it's nice to have you here as you traverse throughout different rooms of the house, but it's nice to have you.
I'm boring my daughter's bedroom tonight.
I like it. I like it. So tonight we are going into a very hot topic, pun intended. And by that, I mean, we are speaking about menopause. Thankfully, I'm not there as yet, but some persons are who are looking on. And it's one of those things that we don't like to speak about, because when you speak about menopause, we think about hot flashes, we think about mood swings, we think about some of those negativities that come along with it, maybe change in appetite as well. You never know. But we will find out for sure tonight from Dr. Asante LeBlanc. So, Doc, what is menopause?
JD, I'm so excited that you asked me to do this topic. I got so excited that I even did a PowerPoint presentation. Yay. I'm getting all technological and all.
I realize.
In Spanish it's embullada, like I was so excited. And yes, I know I forgot the English word, but I was so excited when you told me. I went and I prepared this PowerPoint really because there are a lot of women who suffer from menopause and are going through, but I hate to say suffer, but are going through this transition and have so many issues. And I specialize in traditional Chinese medicine as well, along with my Western medicine and allopathic medicine. And therefore, I do a lot of acupuncture and herbal treatments for menopause. So I was totally stoked. I think that's how the young people say it, or are probably a little old. So I have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to go through it. And then after that, you can ask me the questions. We can field those questions. And, I'm game. This is really...
And, sometimes you take my question even before I ask it. So it might be in that PowerPoint too. So
I know, but then you can still ask it and I'll repeat it.
Okay. No
So I'm
problem.
just going to turn to the PowerPoint now,
Sure,
right?
sure, sure, sure.
Okay,
Dr.
great.
Santi Leblanc is excited about her PowerPoint, guys. This is the live checkup. Thank you so much for looking on. Don't forget, if you've got questions, just post it below. So, Doc, whenever you're ready, we
Oh
are
gosh,
ready.
so yeah, so I have to remember how to do this, JD. So just 1 second, because
No
remember,
problem.
I'm technologically not challenged because
Not
we would
challenged.
never accept that, yes. So,
She's
so
not
here we
challenged.
go.
All
I'm
right.
not
Oh,
challenged.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yes, I know. I was so thrilled. Look at it, the octopus, and
And
that's
it's hot.
because, and it's hot, girl. It is so hot, and this is because, JD,
Mm-hmm.
women do so much.
Yeah.
We look after the household. We work. We
Yeah.
do the groceries. We write our friends. We stay current. We look after everybody. We're so altruistic by nature that we're like octopuses. I mean, we just work and work and work and work. And when menopause comes, it's like it's literally getting hot in here. So I just thought I'd
Mm-hmm.
start with that, right?
Yeah. You're
So
right.
I played around with transitions as
Eh,
well. So
eh, you
menopause,
are just
yes.
showing off today.
So menopause is very multifaceted. Oops, I went ahead. So it's a hydra of women's issues, and it can lead to so many other issues. This means, JD, that you have so many symptoms, and it's not always the same in every woman. You know
Right.
what I mean? So this is where menopause is actually an imitator, a grand imitator of so many things, and that's due to the hormonal imbalances that happen. So menopause is really a transition in a woman's reproductive life. So
Right.
it's when we can no longer ovulate, we no longer see periods, but menopause is the transition. So we have perimenopause, and then we go into menopause, and then we have postmenopause, right?
So it's three
And
parts,
all
right?
through, exactly, so all through that transition, which is natural and expected, we can have different symptoms depending on, JD, how we prepare and how proactive we are before it comes on, before that transition, which is something we always speak about, being proactive about our lifestyles, being healthy. And it's always something we discuss, as you would recall,
So
right?
being
But
healthier
men,
up front can kind of make the process more bearable.
amazingly so, amazingly so. And what's important is, yes, your period stops, but before your period stops, you may see irregularities in your period. You may
Mm-hmm.
see you bleed a little more. You may
Mm-hmm.
see that you're bleeding twice a month instead of once a month, that your
Wow.
bleeding is heavier. And these are all signs of a hormonal imbalance happening. And that's when perimenopause is identified,
Okay.
right? So it's important to understand that, and to recognize and know your body. But JD, that's why it's so important for us, because both you and I have not hit menopause or perimenopause as yet. And
Yeah.
this is where we constantly remind our audience on how to be balanced, and reminding them that nobody's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but
Of course.
we can get there poke a poke, step by step. You can keep yourself and be proactive when
Yeah.
it comes to all facets of your lifestyle, because it's so important, according to Chinese medicine especially, to be proactive and have those kidney meridians, the yin yang stores, if you want to picture it like that, replenished, because that's your safety net, that's your reserve fund, that's your overdraft
Mm-hmm.
facility to take you into that transition, easier and much more seemingly. You understand? So, common symptoms of the change:
Right.
night sweats, hot flashes, abnormal uterine bleeding, which means abnormal menstrual cycles, insomnia, JD, topics we have spoken
On
upon
before,
before,
yeah. Yeah.
decreased libido. Women, you know it. Sometimes we just are not in the mood. Vaginal dryness, weight gain, fatigue, depression, anxiety. JD, doesn't this all sound like things we have spoken about before?
It just feels like women just have so many things to go through, man.
No, but you see
Consistently.
that it's
Yeah.
important to understand that your body, it's not isolated.
Yeah.
So it's all connected, and everything is connected. And so I hate for us to think that, oh my God, we're going through another thing. I think we need to fight back nature. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And be powerful and be proactive, so that this is not as tragic as it can be. Yeah.
So the
So
whole
of course I had, yes,
before you
sorry, go
go,
ahead.
just speaking about those symptoms, that's because some sort of hormonal change is happening, which is
Correct. So the
obviously
the
the end of a
estrogen.
period. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's when your estrogen levels begin to decline. And this is an expected decline. So this is not something that is abnormal, it's expected. But what happens is because of that expected decline in estrogen, we then become more at risk for cardiac disease or cardiovascular disease, which is like heart attacks, because our cardio protection is gone, is decreased. If
Right.
we are not exercising, I like to add that in. If we are not eating a balanced diet and exercising, then our protection is decreased because of the decrease in estrogen. Because of that imbalance as well, JD, we then become, because that really, that hormone does so much for us as women. You understand?
Take it for
And so
granted.
when it's exactly because we have it and we're there. But guess what? That expected decline doesn't have to bring with it all these changes, because we can then replenish and allow it to not be such a big drop and a sudden change. You understand?
Yeah.
And you can go through it and actually get your mojo back, so to speak.
It's kind of
You know
like
what I
prevention
mean?
is better than cure. So what you're saying is just if we just really dive into the exercise and that maintaining that balance, we can have less of these to deal with when it comes to that
Correct.
period of change or
And
transition.
it won't be as profound.
As
It
profound.
won't be as profound.
These common symptoms you speak of, Dr. LeBlanc, is it that, let's say, when I am going through my menopause, am I going to receive all of those, or it's just different for
No,
individuals?
it's individual. That's a beautiful question. You see, I didn't anticipate your question. It's a beautiful question, because it's not, there are women who have gone through menopause and absolutely nothing.
Oh,
And there are women who go through menopause and they have every single symptom. And then there are women who go through and have maybe one or two. And the degree, the extent of it also varies as woman, from woman to woman.
right. Okay. So it really
Yeah.
changes over the individual. Sorry, continue on with
Yes.
your
No, yes, I
PowerPoint.
was so excited. So this is a hydra. This is a hydra, right?
Looks
So
like a
why
dragon.
is this important? Exactly. Because when you cut one head off of a hydra, according to the myth, you get two heads pop back up. I don't know if you ever watched Harry Potter or
No, I'm not. No.
Artemis Fowl or any of these. Anyways, well, I have children, so I've done that. So menopause, it seems as though when you deal with one symptom, two pop up.
Oh
And
my
that
God.
is so important. It's a hydra of issues, but don't give up. Do not give up. You understand me? It's so important not to give up. So I wanted to tell you the hydra of women's issues. So we have possible diabetes, hypertension,
Wow.
depression, weight gain, decreased libido, drier skin, hair loss, osteoporosis, insomnia. All of these are some of the issues that you can have, right, with menopause,
Hmm.
right? And so I say this to you, JD, because, for example, some women don't have hypertension, and the minute perimenopause starts,
The
the
pressure
pressure
is up.
starts to go up a little bit, and they don't understand why. Now, between the imbalance of the hormones and then maybe having anxiety, so I didn't put anxiety there. Anxiety is one of the issues, right?
Hmm.
So between the imbalance and you get anxious or depressed and insomnia and you're not sleeping well, that will impact on your cardiovascular system, right? And
Hmm.
that will impact on you possibly being hypertensive or the pressure just going a little above your normal. And because of the estrogen decrease, again, how your body responds is a different story. You understand? Diabetes, you had it in your family, and then the
Yeah.
estrogen went down. All of a sudden, you started to eat too much because you were depressed or anxious, and boom, diabetes. You understand? Because we know that our sex hormones impact on our body just more than for reproductive purposes. You understand? For example, we have testosterone as women for our muscle, but we don't have the amount men have. You
Right.
understand? So it's important for us to understand that the hormones are important not only for reproductive purposes and for you to have a period, but also for a lot more of the normal functions of our body.
I'm thinking here, and I'm thinking about some friends who have said, "I wonder if are going through my menopause," because all those things look very familiar, as you said. We go through it sometime in
Yes.
our lives, but so I don't know if this question is correct in asking. But how do I know then I'm going through menopause versus just another time in my life?
So that's important, JD. First of all, look at how old you are. Second of all, we could be having a heat wave and just be feeling very, very
Yeah.
hot. But you will note that there is a certain pattern, a waxing and waning pattern when it comes to the hot flashes. The sweats are just very profound, and then
Right.
they stop. Your irritation levels, your frustration levels may be worse, and you may have a lower threshold. So you may want to go off on somebody so easily. So these symptoms, and you have to look at your circumstance as well. You understand? So I keep saying you understand, but of course you understand. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
look at your
Okay.
circumstance and understand when it is that it's not a situational crisis versus something that is happening. And this is where it's important to speak to your doctor, because your doctor will ask you the questions. And for example, you say, but do you feel like this often? When did this start? How is your period? Have different things? And together, your doctor and you will be able to identify the reality and if there's a crisis. And I know some of your listeners, or viewers, sorry, are going to ask us about blood tests. Now,
Yeah,
you can do a blood test that will
yeah.
show your estrogen levels and your FSH, LH, your progesterone, all those levels. You can do that and it will indicate if you are going into menopause or not. But you can also tell from how your body is feeling. And that is very important.
So is it also important to start journaling when I see things happening differently? You know,
So,
so
so I would love if my patients did it and not just say, I can't remember. I would
right.
love if they do that, because then it shows that, number one, you're mindful of your body. You understand the changes. You're paying attention to your body. And what's important, JD, as well, is understanding that how the change is really affecting you. And is there anything else that may have caused that change? So you have to
Right.
look at your life and understand it. You understand? And then I think it's important to recognize that your doctor and you will have this discussion. But when you come to the table with, look, from June 4th, I started with XYZ,
Right.
your doctor is going to say, when did your mother or grandmother go into menopause? So
So
if
you have
you
to know
have your
history.
mom or your grandmother menopause, ask them, when did you go into menopause? Did your change occur like this? Let's do that sister talk and have that discussion, because you'll be amazed that most times it will follow that pattern
So again,
in
it
terms of
is
the
having that
age of
conversation.
onset.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So maybe I
correct.
need to have that conversation with my mother and grandmother just in case, because
In-
you never know.
just in case.
But
So
then
in
again, can you
Chinese,
just
yes.
before you go on, I'm thinking with my mother, maybe this is putting her
Hmm.
business out, but many years ago I remember she removed her womb. So that does that affect the menopause process?
Awesome question. Now,
Thinking
if
about
she
that, I just
removed her
remembered that.
uterus but
Yeah.
left her ovaries, she will not go into menopause at the time of surgery. She will go into menopause at the established time of her ovaries decreasing their estrogen content.
Okay.
You understand? So
Okay.
if you do what we call a hysterectomy with an oophorectomy, a bilateral oophorectomy, then that means you've taken out both ovaries. But some doctors will do a hysterectomy with a unilateral oophorectomy, leaving one functioning ovary so that your transition will be gradual.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
why women think they haven't seen a period. And then about 5 years later, they go, I'm feeling hot. Something's wrong. And then you go, yeah, but you still had an ovary. And the ovary is now going
Right.
through the established time
I
of
get you.
menopause
I
as
get you.
programmed by your DNA, your genetics, your body. You understand? And that is when you're going through your menopausal transition.
So that's when
So
you
not
do
saying,
that's
go
sorry,
ahead.
don't mean to cut you. So that's when you remove just the womb and not the arteries, you're saying. Am I correct?
Ovary,
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 sorry.
ovary.
The
So
ovary.
you leave, if
So
you
you
leave your ovaries, they will go through natural
nice.
menopause.
And
But
if
if
you
you
remove
take
both,
everything out,
yeah,
then you will go into immediate
immediate.
menopause,
Nice. Okay.
surgical early menopause.
Okay.
And there are some women that can go into early menopause due to ovarian failure. And that is another, so they've gone into menopause, but earlier in life than expected.
All right, great. Continue with your
Right. So, according to Chinese medicine, what does menopause mean? It's an expected deficiency in certain meridians. So, it's a kidney yin and yang deficiency, a blood deficiency in the kidney, heart, liver, and spleen meridians, and liver qi stagnation and deficiency. Right. So, in Chinese medicine, these are the different patterns that we would look for when we examine the patient and determine what treatments are needed.
okay.
So, I'm going to come out of this now.
I missed you. Yeah, it's good to have you back. What's your new technology? Your boss,
Yes.
your
So
boss.
I'm back.
So what? Just a few points ago, you mentioned hot flashes, right? So you just talk about the Chinese medicine, but how can I prevent those hot flashes? For someone who's looking on and going through that process right
So
now.
correct. So a lot about diet and what we eat is important. So we have to build our kidney yin because the hot flashes are believed to be a yang rising in the night because the yin is what tempers and calms the yang. So you have
Right.
to think everything hot is yang, everything cold is yin. That's the
Yeah.
basic conceptual look at it. And so you eat things such as cucumbers, for example, watermelon. I advise people to have a cucumber a day with some salt on it. I advise watermelon. I advise eating fruits that are in season. We always speak about this. Using dal and rice, brown rice, if possible. Using things such as lamb, goat,
Hmm.
meaty fishes such as kingfish, salmon,
Right.
snapper. If you're a vegetarian, a lot of beans, including kidney beans and adzuki beans, which is like a kidney bean, mushrooms, almonds. So these are some things that will help build your kidney yin, walnuts, almonds, and this will help you then diminish. And so when you build your yin, you help to temper the yang in the night, and therefore decrease your hot flashes, decrease your night sweats, and really and truly control those yang fires. Because
But
the hot flashes during the day is when the yang is just out of control, and it's a false heat. It's not an excess heat all the time. So I mean, this is a lot for you to understand, but I really am so excited about this topic because it's amazing
what's
how
happening?
you think that it's so much heat, but it's actually a false heat because of lack of control of yin from the yin side. And so you have to build your yin and be proactive. And this is where we always speak about balanced diet, eating natural foods, not eating a lot of preserved foods, not eating a lot of the excessive preserved sugars, those corn syrups, being true to our natural environment and what we have here.
But is it too late to ever adopt those calming the is it the yin you say in our diet? Let's say I'm going through it now, and I'm hot flashing now. Is it that I should have been doing this? I know many things you said we should have been doing before, but let's say to deal with the hot flashes, would it kick into effect if I start absorbing those things you speak about now, eating more cucumbers, having the fruits that are in season, and exercising? Would it really assist right now because I'm hot?
Yes, it will.
It
That's
will.
the beautiful thing about it, that it's never too late until you die.
Great.
So
Great.
you always, you can always don't give up and you know why yams, sweet potatoes, bread, fruit, cassava. Remembering how we ate as young people and our ancestry is so important, and where we're from, where we live, it's always important when you think of your diet and the correct diet to have.
What should we avoid though for the hot flashes?
I
Because I was
told
re-
you
and
all
coffee and
preserved
stuff like that,
foods.
right?
Well, no, I'm a Cuban. I will never tell you to avoid coffee, but I will tell you maybe adjust your intake because I will not avoid coffee. So again, Jane, you know why it's important that you ask these questions because you have to know your body and
Uh,
understand because it has to be your lifestyle. You have to be comfortable with it. It can't be something, oh, Dr. LeBlanc says to do this. No, it has to be something she said, she advised this, and I'm comfortable with this because you know I like my chocolate cake. You know I like my Benny balls, but it's how you eat it, how often you have it,
Moderation.
and moderation. Oh gosh, we come back to that word, moderation and balance.
Hmm.
So it's about always being comfortable with what choices you make.
Some of the Hydra issues you spoke of, I'm going back to your PowerPoint. You see me in my mind. Was was let me
Vaginal dryness.
let me get that word. Was vaginal dryness? Yes. Can you speak on that? Because some women obviously would like to know how they can deal with that, or even like I'm not in the mood. What
But
can?
that's the beautiful thing. So there are herbs that will help. Not always. So you'll have to use this. This talk is going to go way above our pay grade this tonight. But I mean, we're all human, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
of course there are natural lubricants that you can use. So you know KY has come out, and I'm not paid by KY.
Of
Absolutely no
course.
money by KY, but KY has different arrays. I mean, I don't have to use it yet, but I'm just looking at it and saying, wow, interesting. So, you have lubricants, but eating and producing the yin, balancing the yin helps a lot,
Again, going back to
along
that.
with using the lubricants. And also, there are different herbs for not being in the mood. So we can start with a few. So now I want people to understand that you can use one of the herbs or you can do formulas. And I'm going to push Victoria Clinic tonight because we
Of
do
course.
formulas,
Of
and we
course.
have, and so we don't have enough West Indian herbs that we can say just go eat this alone. So this is where we have to use some of the Western and Chinese herbs along with our herbs and even South American herbs. So I'm from Guyana, for example. So woman piaba, man piaba for the Guyanese out there, so important as aphrodisiacs. Monkey bush, I think it's called here, is also very good for libido. But let's talk what we can make in a formula.
Those things are.
Maca, Loe Di Huang, which is and Bahue Di Huang, which are two Chinese formulas for kidney yin and yang, respectively. Using rose, which a lot of people use evening primrose, for example.
Right.
Wild yam for progesterone, which gets those juices flowing. Here we go, above our pay grade, but I'm so excited to talk about it. And then I mean, we have nettle, for example. We have, sometimes it's more, you want to put some more. So you have black cohosh, blue cohosh, red sage, salvia. So these are a few herbs that we can use alone or in conjunction. Ashwagandha, amazing as an aphrodisiac and calming you down. A lovely tonifier. Asparagus or shatavari, very good. So when asparagus comes into season, I recommend that people eat asparagus, even though we're not accustomed
Right.
to
Right. Yeah.
asparagus
Yeah.
in Trinidad.
Do
If
we
you
have
can
an
get some
equivalent?
asparagus,
Do we have an
I would say
equivalent?
I think it's from the cucumber family, but I
Oh,
don't think we have an equivalent here, to be very honest. But
okay.
I will look into it. So and cocoa, oh my gosh, JD, nothing like a little splash of cocoa or cacao, as the North Americans like to call it. It's our old-fashioned cocoa from our
Cocoa.
plantation. Suck in a few of those pods every day, ladies. I guarantee you, very pleasurable in terms of how you feel after. But
So we
this
should
is
go
me.
Lupino and
So
get some cocoa.
but I'm just saying,
Oh,
there's
that
so many
sounded.
things. But
Wait a minute. That sounded a little rude there.
yes,
Go Lupino and
yes,
get some
yeah,
cocoa.
go
I
look me
meant
there.
I meant literally. Is it a fruit? I meant the thing.
Fruit
Oh
is
my
a
God!
pod.
Sorry, the pod. You guys get me right? Okay. All right. Okay.
So Judy, um, using these herbs in formulas are amazing. And what's important to understand is that depending on what symptoms you have,
Right.
a formula can be customized for you. So there sometimes people just need for the energy levels, and we add eleuthero, rhodiola. It depends on what you're feeling, and know that it will change as we treat. And acupuncture is amazing as well to balance that system. And ladies, I beg you, recognize the symptoms earlier. The earlier you start acupuncture and cupping, the better off you will respond for balancing those hormones.
Okay. So let me go to this question, which I should have asked before. You say earlier, and then I'm thinking it may not be set in stone, but what's the age persons start menopausing? Oh, maybe
Usually,
average.
like my children, if you listen to them, they think I'm in menopause already and I'm not even 50, and they claim it's a couple more years to 50. But it's really and truly dependent on your
On the
family history. But
yeah
we take an average of about 50 years old. 45 to
50.
50 is when you may start the perimenopause transition. But it varies. I mean, this is why we see older women getting pregnant. So don't take it for
Oh
granted
yeah,
that your
yeah. Good
period gets
point.
irregular and you could just go have some fun, and that's your lanyap right there.
Good point.
And then
Good
you
point.
you might be telling me I didn't tell you. So I am telling you now, where until that period stops for a year, and it's important, JD. I'm glad you brought that up. Your period has to be stopped for a year, a complete year, for us to say you've gone through menopause.
Right. Oh,
So
okay. So
nothing for a
not like
year,
so. Let's say I
nothing.
miss it for 6 months and it comes back. That's not obviously
You're
okay.
not menopause, you're in perimenopause. But important, talk to your doctor. talk to your gynecologist, do your pap smears, know your body, let them understand what's happening, because we have to make sure that it's a natural transition and it's not something underlying. So this is where we look for the ovarian cancers, the endometrial cancers, because we want to make sure that you're going through the natural transition and these are not symptoms of something else, including thyroid issues. So please, it's so important not to just take for granted your health and to really see your physician every year. Your physician is your guide. They're not your God, but they're your guide. And they are the ones that are going to help you through and recognize that change. So don't change physicians. Boom, 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 boom. Be comfortable and be able to speak to them so they understand. You understand?
They know your history. So it's just going to be odd if you keep changing them. So you spoke about peri, and you said something about post. What happens in that part of the transition?
Well, post-menopausal, of course, it's now settled. So you have everything, but you keep being proactive. You keep balancing your body. But post-menopausal is where we see now, because when we're going into menopause, there's an expected decline in our bone density. So this is where your bone making is less than your bone losing effect and mechanism. So this is where osteogenesis is outrun by osteolysis. And this is where you can lose bone density. So osteoporosis or osteopenia is a risk factor. Cardiovascular disease is a risk factor. Dyslipidemia or cholesterol issues is a risk factor. Hypertension, diabetes, obesity. So this is where eating healthy, exercising, sleeping well, because your stress coping mechanisms need to be in top form, because if you are stressed out, you can either gain or lose weight depending on how your body assimilates it. So please, it's important not to give up at all. It's a continuous process. So be comfortable with it and enjoy it.
You know,
and it won't be perfect.
You say something, and I just thought about myself for a minute about stress, because of course, all of us go through our different stress points. But I think with me, I noticed that when I'm stressed out, I put on. Because remember, some people are stress eaters as well. So I see that happening with me too. So these things I need to start looking at. I'm not in menopause yet.
I'm a stress eater. I'm a stress eater. So I will eat. And when you see something not eating, run. There's a problem. And it's real big. And that's very difficult. So everybody is different. So it's important to understand.
To know yourself as well.
And to understand your body.
So before we wrap up this conversation, and I want to two things. Very good job on your PowerPoint. Very good job.
JD, before you start, I forgot, because women start to say they don't understand why they can't sleep. And this is because with all I showed you in the Chinese medicine slide, when those meridians are imbalanced, the Shen or the spirit cannot rest. And so you get insomnia. You understand? So it's important to understand why these things are happening, and we can fix it. We can resolve it, but don't be afraid to reach out. And don't think, women, when it happens, you go, oh God, I used to be so happy. Oh God, this is all. Don't give up, and come and cry on the doctor's shoulder. Talk to your doctor, talk to your husband, talk to your partner, talk to whoever, but don't give up. It's normal. You're not the only one going through it.
I saw something earlier that says if you're having trouble sleeping, some things to try, they say, like establish a bedtime routine. Who would have thought about that? Limit the bedroom to sleep and intimacy, because, like if you have a television in your room like I do, that's not going to help if I'm suffering from insomnia,
Unless you have good porn on when you're going to sleep. I'm sorry. Listen, I don't, but I have a TV in my room. I watch crime shows to go to sleep. I should not do that.
ID
channel. I should not do that. Yes. Exactly. But the reality is that you have to, if you are really suffering from insomnia, you have to recreate that space for you to sleep. I could sleep on a rock. So I don't have this problem, but you have to set up your space and know what it means for you to go to sleep.
Know yourself, as you're saying.
Yeah.
But I've heard somewhere, I don't know if I spoke to you on this before, when we had our interviews years ago on Ebony, but someone mentioned to me that isn't there some sort of menopause for men, but it's called something else? Andropause. So we have male onlookers right now.
We discussed that. We discussed
it here on the live checkup.
Back in the day, we discussed it. Oh my gosh, I just got our memory from a year ago on Facebook, and I put it up because it was tips for the healthy traveler.
Yes, I saw that.
I put that up.
Well, we ain't going nowhere in a hurry, but yeah.
Tobago.
Tobago. But I just
down,
thought,
down the island. But yeah,
oh
so
yeah, down the
andropause,
islands. That's an option.
andropause is where their testosterone levels will go down, and so men actually feel a little. They also feel low libido, lack of interest. They may feel a little more frustrated. You see them going through the so-called crisis when they call
Do
them
they?
going through the crisis. Yeah,
No,
so
because
some
they
of
like
them
to
buy
say we're going
Ferraris.
through. You're going through
No,
menopause,
so they
or
buy Ferraris and get younger girls.
oh,
But
that's
yeah,
when they're going to
yeah.
andropause. Got you.
Well, most of them, not
Most.
all. Some are just naturally like
Thank you
you're
very
gonna
much.
get me in trouble tonight. But when men have prostate cancer,
Uh-huh.
sometimes their treatment involves block hormone blockers, and they do go in. They feel menopausal symptoms.
Oh,
They do feel the night sweats. So it's
okay.
important to understand, and that's when I encourage them on their diet, and I give them different formulas to help with that as well.
So they would have that conversation with their GP as well for those
What?
gentlemen that are
Yes,
looking
they
on.
should. You should discuss it with your GP and your oncologist.
And I think that, again, I have to say this, for some men, it's very difficult because men have this some men have a serious fear for doctors. So they just try to go through it on their own. But this is a conversation. If you're speaking about andropause, go and you're experiencing it, brothers, have that conversation with your doctor. You're just gonna find out exactly what it is and how you can deal with it. Yeah, because just
Yes,
like us,
yes.
you go through it too. You do.
And I think, JD, again, thanks to COVID has given all of us a bigger perspective and a deeper perspective on our relationships. And you've had a lot more time to spend with your spouse and partner. So this is where you really know if it was meant to be or not. And so you need to have that
This is where you
conversation and
test the
understand,
relationships.
yes, this
Yes.
was the true test. And it's important, the communication. And that is so important because you never know how your partner is really feeling. And we think that men only think about sex and
Yeah.
women just don't think about it. And sometimes you do think about it as a woman. And I think menopause may cause, because of the vaginal dryness, the decrease in the libido
Mm-hmm.
or desire, it may make you think you don't want it at all. But it might, when you have to think about quality versus quantity. And I read that somewhere and I'll never forget it. So I'm not telling you to be a nymphomaniac or a Kama Sutra specialist, but I'm telling you that, speak to your partners, and you have to, and I think West Indian women are now becoming more vocal about their sexuality
Yeah,
and
yeah,
their
yeah.
desires. And
2020 woman.
you have to be able to speak to your spouse, your partner, whatever sex that partner is, and let them
About,
know
yeah.
what you want. Because not, I'm it's important that homosexual women, lesbians, understand that they also will go through menopause. So you will go through
Right.
that change, and you
Yeah.
have to speak to your partner as well. So that and you hope that because you're both women, you're on the same page, but that might not be the case.
Yeah.
So
So
you
still
may
a
want to
conversation to be had.
a conversation to have. Yes.
Before we wrap it up, a couple more questions. And if there's anything I didn't touch on, you can also touch on that for me. But what about forgetfulness? I mean, we go through that, most of us, all the time.
That
Is that just
yeah.
normal or just part of another sign of it as well in some
It
cases?
can be a sign as well. It can be a sign as well.
Oh,
Mm.
man. The way
Yeah,
I
it's
feel,
it's not easy.
I
Yeah.
was
So I
forgetting
wanted to
something.
let me share with you just a
What's that?
conclusion of everything we just said, and then I'll come back.
She's going
I'm
to a
all
PowerPoint
excited.
again.
Of course I am. It's important.
No, for
Says
real.
the dog. Yeah. So we did the traditional Chinese medicine. So you asked what we could do. So we spoke about the diet, JD,
Right.
exercising,
Right.
both aerobic exercise, yoga, Pilates, weight training is so important for bone health. And the herbs I spoke about, meditation and acupuncture. And I put some tips there, JD. Start early. You understand? Don't wait until it
Mm-hmm.
hits you. Get a partner. Enjoy what you're doing and don't give up. It's so, so important to understand that. Yoga and Pilates, find what you feel right doing.
Mm-hmm.
Aerobic exercise. So if you're like me, I don't like to do the same thing all the time. I will do HIIT, then I'll run, then I'll walk, then I'll go lift weights, or I might do a mixture of it. So find what you like and enjoy your exercise. Very, very important. What herbs can we use? Romania 6 and 8 are two formulas, which is Loe Di Huang and Bawe Di Huang. bohi one for digestive issues, because JD, we forgot to mention, you get bloated, your digestion can change as
Yes.
well.
Okay, I hear that.
Yes,
Yes.
we can use dangwe, wild yam, romania, wangchi, gardenia, white peony, hawthorn. Again, these are new herbs, not West Indian herbs, that can be used to help you, and we can use them in formulas.
And we can get
Yeah,
them at the Victoria Clinic
yeah, in formulas
in
most times,
formulas,
or separate depending on what's happening. Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'm gonna stop the share content
That's it.
now. Yes, I let me check my right. Yes,
But you
that's
spoke
it.
on insomnia. Oh, lovely
Yes,
picture.
yes. I'm so proud of myself. So JD, it's so important for us. This topic, I'm hoping we can help a lot of women.
Yeah.
And I want women to realize, don't be afraid, don't be alone. Reach out and get treatment early. The earlier you do it, you'll be amazed at the results and how you can.
And
And
you,
exercise helps with your
I know,
endorphins.
I was not about to say, one of the things I take from what you're saying today is that
Yes,
exercise, balanced diet, all these simple factors are what we need to adopt for dealing with
yeah.
menopause. It's not rocket
So
science,
yeah.
really, you know?
And JD, I want women to understand that I did not mention hormone replacement therapy. So there's controversial and controversy on hormone replacement therapy in terms of being cancer causing.
Yeah.
So it's hormones that we're giving to your body. They are now natural ones such as estrogen. And again, I'm not paid by these companies. Um, if you are very bad, if the dryness is bad, if you really, the herbs take time to work sometimes. So don't think of it as a failure if you need hormone replacement, even for a short time.
Right.
Because the beautiful thing about it, it's integrative. You can do both the hormones and the herbs at the same time. So don't, it's an option. But we like, as physicians now, we prefer not to do a lot of hormone replacement unless absolutely necessary, because it does have possible side effects.
Okay. Okay. So again, thank you for the information on menopause. Thank you for the chart, which gives even more details on, just understanding this transition that we're going through. One of the things I heard you say just a few minutes ago, and I wanted to give that plug, but it's not really, it's a plug in some way, because just some time ago someone was asking me, where do I go to do my pap smears? And you said pap smears just a few minutes ago, so I wanted you to speak on that and just guide some persons as to where we can get that done. And I say plug because you know why, you're the chairman of the Trinidad
Yes,
and Tobago Cancer
the Tobago
Society.
Cancer Society. So I
So can you,
definitely would recommend, I definitely recommend the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society. It's 69 Dundonald Street, right next to Haagen-Dazs off the
right,
Savannah. You can have your mammograms, your pap smears done there. You can do your pap smears at your GP's office, including Victoria Clinic. You can get it done at your gynecologist. But Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society offers stellar treatment, awesome service, and a very good price, trust me. So
and
I would recommend them.
are
And
there
you
any
call them
changes?
800 TCS, or
Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, 800 TTCS, and you can make your appointments. Are there any changes in?
Regarding COVID that we need to know
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. So you have to make your appointment, and you have to make sure you have your mask on. You have to sanitize and wash your hands before entry. They will take your temperature. We only have a certain amount of people in the clinic at one time, social
Right.
distancing the best we can, and it's very organized. But we are a healthcare facility. But right now, because of the low COVID cases, the low
Right.
number of cases in Trinidad
Right.
and Tobago, I
Right.
would say that now is the time to go get screened before the borders open.
I'm trying to have that conversation with my GP, hint, hint, because I need to go get
Oh,
mine
I
done.
don't know who that is.
so,
Yes, I will do that referral.
so tell us about Victoria Clinic. I know we mentioned it in the intro earlier on, but for persons who may have missed it and need the details right now, can you share that
Oh
and
my
your social
goodness.
media platforms? Because I see you doing
Yes,
some things on that too.
I'm working on it. So Victoria Clinic is located at 54 Gala Street, Woodbrook.
Right.
Our website is www.victoria-clinic.net. Our phone numbers are 622-2221, 622-0683. Our WhatsApp number is 741-7515. We're on Facebook, Victoria Clinic, and we're on Instagram, Victoria Clinic _Trinidad. And important to understand, I do not give medical advice over social media platforms.
Thank you very
So
much for
please
saying
note.
that again. Can you
I
hold on?
will
Say
direct
that
you.
again. Say that again, please.
Please note, I am not able to give medical advice over social media platforms such as Facebook Messenger, Facebook, or Instagram. I can give you general tips, which is what I try to do, but I cannot give medical advice for many ethical reasons. And therefore, I will always encourage you to contact us for an appointment, or you will be encouraged by the person who's managing social media at the time in terms of the request.
Okay, and also that means you can't get it through me either. I know some of you are saying, "Hey Jay, can you speak to Dr. Asante LeBlanc?" And I'm like, I'm putting a between a rock and a hard place. I'm like,
Well, you can send me the message, but I will still
yes,
direct you to the WhatsApp
yes,
number, and I will still tell you, um,
good.
you
So
know,
I did
how
all
to
right the
deal. I
last
will
time.
still recommend.
Okay, good.
No, but she was fine. That's expected. That's fine. She was
Okay,
fine.
good. Nice. So thank you so much as always for our conversation. We will have another very important conversation next week, God willing, same time, maybe a different room for Dr. Asante LeBlanc.
Different crew.
Was going to be the same room for me, but we're going to be right here
Oh
inside of our
gosh.
Zoom platform. Thank you as always, Doc, for your
Thank you
time.
so much. Bye bye.
Take
Have a
care.
good
Have a good
night.
night,
Take
everybody.
care.
Well, this is where I say thank you so much for allowing me in your world. I know you got your things to do, but you still tuned in, and I appreciate that. So don't forget, click subscribe, click the like, share, and just let all of us gather from the information that is being shared inside of JChat, even if it's the fun ones as well. Serious fun, whatever it is. Thank you so much. Be blessed. Stay safe. I'm JD.